Hello, Squirrel Tribe. Do I have some juicy Kamala Harris info for you today? Side note, that's probably the only time the words juicy and Kamala have ever been used together back to back. That's disgusting. Anyway, what has happened today or in the last 24 hours is technically monumental. All right, and let me explain. This right here, this fun little thing I've got right here to read to y'all, just wait. Kamala Harris, formally secures Democratic nomination, officially becoming the first woman of color to lead a presidential ticket. This is breaking news, side note. Vice President Kamala Harris has received a majority of the pledged delegates to the Democratic National Convention, concluding an unprecedented process after President Biden withdrew from the race last month. You guys remember what happened? There was this letter, not on White House letterhead, not signed the way Joe Biden ever signs anything, just randomly posted up on X one day after he was missing for days and days with COVID or C-19. We have this letter that came out on a Sunday. Number one, it was on a Sunday. I'm like, sir, what are you doing? And it came out on X and people are like, what is going on? I actually went live with it. It was breaking news at the time. It was absolutely crazy. And now here we are with Kamala Harris officially becoming the first woman of color to lead a presidential ticket. So Democratic leaders decided months ago, when Biden was still expected to be the nominee, to use a virtual vote to finalize the nomination rather than waiting for the party's convention in Chicago from August 19th to the 22nd. That is in 17 days. Side note, I've heard that Chicago, in case anybody has not heard this, Chicago, and most of you do know this because we've talked about it before, they are a sanctuary city. I personally like Chicago. I went there with my husband and my daughter last summer and it was absolutely gorgeous. We stayed right across from, I don't know if it's called Trump Tower there or just Trump Hotel, whatever, right there on the river that they turn green for St. Patty's Day and stuff like that. It was absolutely gorgeous. Yes, there was homeless people. Yes, there was construction. Yes, there was weird smells every once in a while. But the city itself was gorgeous, right? But that was also kind of before there was a lot of talk of sanctuary cities and migrants, immigrants, illegal immigrants being bused to these places, whether it's New York or Chicago or other places like that, right? Well, now, because you have the Democratic National Convention being held in Chicago, Chicago is going to be all over the news, all over TV. And they don't want a lot of illegal Hispanic looking people, blocking the TV or mucking up the screen is pretty much what it's coming down to. So instead of letting people be where they are taking all of the sanctuary city illegal immigrants and they are busing them out of Chicago and putting them up in brand new hotels just to put them there, to hide them away from everybody who will be showing up to Chicago for the DNC. The Democrats don't want you to see what their Democrat policies have reaped. That feels accurate. We're going to go with reaped. This is what they have done to themselves, and they want to hide it from everybody. If it's not something to be not ashamed of, but not something that you consider a negative or something that would hurt your chances of getting a Democratic vote from somebody, right? From you or me or somebody else. Why would you try to hide all the people that you willingly let cross the border and then bust off to a city because you guys are a sanctuary city? I find that very interesting. But anyways, not only do we have this breaking news of Kamala Harris being the Democrat nominee for the presidential ticket for the DNC for the November 5th election, more stuff has happened, and I need to tell you all of it. I got to tell you everything because it's so good. Philadelphia mayor, y'all, Sherelle Parker, accidentally published this video ahead of schedule. She leaked Kamala Harris's pick for vice president as Josh Shapiro. So this is on X, and it's saying that the video has been leaked that she picked Josh Shapiro. This is supposed to be the what? How do you say this? The acceptance, whatever, or what? I don't even know how to phrase what this is, but they're saying Josh Shapiro is going to be her VP pick. What is also very interesting is, for those of you who are not aware, Josh Shapiro is not exactly a great guy, but the reason she picked him, for anybody who wants to know the real reason she picked him, when Vice President Kamala Harris did not meet Netanyahu when he got off the plane at the airport, when Biden did not meet him, when Jill Biden did not meet him, and yet Trump said, hey, come on over, and Netanyahu and his wife went over, met up with Trump. You saw that dapped up handshake they did, and they hung out and had a meal. Somebody asked Trump something along the lines of what Kamala had said, and he responded in I'm paraphrasing the crap out of this right here, just FYI, because I can't get my little link to open. The link that I have here, it refuses to do anything. He basically said, I don't see how anybody who is Jewish would vote for Kamala Harris. And numerous reasons, right? Well, guess what? Guess who happens to be Jewish? Josh Shapiro. So guess what she's trying to do? Get that Jewish vote by means or by way of having a Jewish person on the ballot with her. So now you have the first woman of color. They didn't specify which color because we can't decide if she's Indian or she's black, because she panders to whichever one is going to get her the most reaction or the most positive feedback at the time. When she was a vice president, she was Asian American and Indian. Now it's, pandering to black audiences, hoping for the black vote. Megan Thee Stallion, anybody? She paid like $1 million to have some chick twerk on a stage for her in Atlanta because she assumed that that's what black people wanted, was a twerking female. Anyway, also, Kamala Harris made the comment that she carried 2 bags of listen, I wasn't going to do this, but she made the comment that when she was in South Carolina, side note, I am a South Carolina born girl. I am from South Carolina. I have worked very hard not to have my South Carolina accent because I was so country when I was little. It was crazy. And I have worked very hard not to be as country sounding as I was, because it was very, very bad. And then I moved to Georgia when I was 6. And in Georgia, where I lived, Atlanta, it wasn't super, super country, so my accent went away a little bit, right? She, though, in Atlanta, I'm back and forth, and I'm sorry. In Atlanta, Kamala Harris, for some weird reason, this woman who was born in California, then lived in Canada, has never been Southern a day in her life, decided while she was in Atlanta, she wanted to have a Southern black accent. She decided to try to speak Ebonics and do it with a Southern accent. Not only did you piss off black women for trying to sound black when you're not, you pissed off Southern women for trying to sound Southern when you're not. Like, ma'am, you have killed 2 birds with 1 stupid accent. Just so we're putting that out there. But she made this comment that when she was in South Carolina, she had the best collard greens she had ever had, and she took 2 bags of them through the airport and on a plane, and people were looking at her like, oh yeah, girl, like, this is her, okay? Yeah, girl, you get it, girl, kind of thing. And when she got off the plane in California with 2 bags of collard greens, she took them home, and because her sink wasn't big enough, she washed the collard greens in the tub. Let me break this down for you real quick. Number 1, she's full of shit, because you can't just take fruits and vegetables into California. They have way, you have to declare everything. They will make sure that you're not bringing any fruits and vegetables into California. So 1, she did not get those things through the airport and out to whatever. I don't care if she was the vice president at the time, which she didn't specify when this happened. But 2nd, no black female or anybody who actually cooks collard greens or cooks anything is going to wash them in a bathtub. That is absolutely fucking disgusting. I would never eat anything that woman has cooked at this point in my life. If there's a potluck, she's allowed to bring the plastic forks and the cups and the plates. Do not bring any food to this unless it's a closed-in bag of Lay's potato chips or Doritos. Don't you dare bring me anything you may have touched and cooked, because now I think that not only is it going to taste a little like that Herbal Essences shampoo you used, there might be some leg hair in there because you shaved and forgot to clean out the tub before you dumped your collard greens in it. Oh, that woman. Oh, man. Okay, so now we have Kamala Harris on the Democrat ticket, right? You have this leaked video from Pennsylvania that Josh Shapiro is going to be her VP pick. I'm going to put it out there now. I cannot say for 100% fact that video is real. It was just a breaking news thing that came out. The video looks legit. I don't know why Stacey Abrams is in it, but maybe because she's a black Democrat and maybe working with Kamala here. If it's real, that lady jumping the gun, it's not going to do well for her. But so you have Kamala, you have Josh Shapiro, you have, side note, Josh Shapiro. Oh gosh, there's so much to just show you guys. It's official. Formal criminal charges have been filed against Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro for obstructing federal and state investigations and for participating in the conspiracy in the fraud to overthrow the U.S. government. This is documents have been obtained for something, whatever. I don't know the whole entire thing. I just saw this earlier and I wanted to talk to you guys about the Kamala stuff, but there is more to this Josh Shapiro thing. In theory, he basically, and again, I'm trying to get all this right, he let murderers go by saying that the murdered person had committed suicide because they stabbed themselves in the chest 20 times and then they stabbed themselves in the back like 4 or 5 times, because that makes perfect sense. That's all I know. I don't have all the details. I'm going to look into it a little bit harder and we'll talk about that tomorrow, or I can put a link to something so you guys can read it for yourself. But now they're saying it's official. Criminal charges have been filed against him for basically obstructing federal and state investigations, which is absolutely crazy. So now you have Kamala Harris, in theory, going to be the next president of the United States, and she doesn't know if she's Indian or she's black, what's up, what's down. Her husband, side note, Doug Emhoff, who doesn't live with her, has maybe an illegitimate child from 2021 or 2022 with a teacher that taught at his child's school. He paid out like a little over $1 million for hush money. Yeah, that's a thing too. So they don't live together. He got a baby by somebody else. His child, Doug Emhoff's child, is clearly mentally whatever, supporting Hamas left and right. Our vice president, who wants to be the president, is now on the Democratic National Convention presidential ticket, even though she has never won a single primary. There's no reason she should be in there. She got votes without getting voted for. Our voices don't matter. Your voices don't matter, because she made it to the ticket without a single soul ever voting her into anything. Okay. And then on top of all this, this one, I love this. I hope I can get this to play. Pause, stop playing. I want you to hear what this says. I got to read it to you first. Okay, so get this. This is breaking also. JD Vance just humiliated a reporter that was race baiting him about Kamala Harris, because right now everything's about race baiting and whatever else. The reporter, I'm going to read it to you and then I'm going to let you hear, okay? That way you know exactly what's being said. The reporter says, the former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, the NABJ, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all? Don't forget, JD Vance's wife is a woman of color, okay? JD Vance then says, they don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. And I was like, JD Vance, even if I did not know enough about you and didn't really like you ahead of time, I like the fact that you said this, because that is fully accurate. 1, you stood up for the man that you're going to be running with for president, which is great. You didn't like trash talk him or anything like that. 2, you made it very obvious that Kamala is a friggin' moron. And 3, I just really like what you had to say. So I'm going to see if I can get this, pause, if I can get the volume up. And hopefully they don't copyright the shit out of this one, but who knows? YouTube been doing really stupid YouTube things. All right, y'all ready? Here we go.
Former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policy. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she
hold on, wait, there's more.
The police just...
Yes, everything that Kamala says is absolute BS. She's now saying that she's going to make sure that the borders are closed. Ma'am, you've had 4 years and you ain't done shit. Well, 3.5 technically. You were the border czar, whether you want to admit it or not and try to erase it from the records, but that's exactly what your job was for the last 3.5 years. And have you been to the border? But I haven't been to Europe either. The hell does that have to do with anything? That was what that woman said. Well, I haven't been to Europe either. Okay, we're not worried about Europe's borders, ma'am. We're worried about ours. So answer the question. Have you been to the border? And the answer was no. She hadn't. 3.5 years, she has done not a dang thing. And now suddenly that's going to be her running platform. I'm going to fix the border. And then it was she wanted to defund the police a few years ago, and now she wants to help the police. I need you to figure out which way you want to go. Like, you can't be flipping flopping. You're not a fish out of water. Like, pick a side, stick with what you're going to stick with, hold on to your guns instead of willy-nilly, because that's a Kamala Harris thing. And I don't want that personally as a president of the United States of America. I don't want to have to worry about, is she going to flip-flop tomorrow on what she's been saying? Is she going to flip-flop on what she's been doing? Is she going to go try to sleep with somebody else's husband in another country? Is she going to... There's a lot of stuff I don't trust, and I don't want anything to do with when it comes to Kamala Harris. So that is that. I wanted to bring you that information. A lot more to talk about, but that's what I've got for right this second on Kamala Harris. I actually have more, but that's it for now. Juicy Kamala. SquirrelTribe, I love y'all. Hope you're having a great day. Would love your comments below. Okay, bye.